Hello, everyone, and this is the beginning of June in 2021, and we are the Double Cross Anime with Mario and Whooper.
That's me.
This podcast this week we're gonna do the time capsule episodes. So we're going back to spring 2004 and picking 10 shows to watch the first episode of them. Whooper just told me that there are a lot of shitter in our our 10 picks.
Yeah, I made a comment saying there were some shitters in here, even though we only picked 10. Like,
And
that's okay. They're not all going to be like rank 1,
that's
A+,
true.
but some of them
Yep.
were pretty damn bad.
Yep, but there's a lot of classics like heavy hitters from this season as well. So we're talking about Monster, we're talking about Samurai Champloo, and all the others.
Yeah, we'll run them down in a bit, and we're ranking them too.
Yep, that's right. So um, so we're gonna talk about them alphabetically, the 10 shows, and we're gonna rank them as well. That's because that's just our favorite thing to do.
Yeah, that's what nerds love to do, make lists, rank
Yep,
things. So for us, 1 out of 10, we've got 10 shows. 1 is the best, like 1 is the top, 10 is the
yep,
worst. And
cool.
we're not rating each one on a scale of 10. It's just we create an ordered list of all 10 shows.
That's right. And shall we start, Whooper?
Which one is first alphabetically?
All right, the first one could be Gantz.
Gantz. Okay. Well, we're starting off we're starting
Yep,
off
let's
weird
let's do that.
this week.
All right.
This is Gantz has some of the worst compositing that I've ever seen in anime.
Compositing.
It's really, yeah, like the camera movement and
Hmm.
applying effects to make people feel as though they inhabit their environment.
Yep.
There's just such a disconnect between the 2D animation, the characters, and their environments. It's like the 3D backgrounds look like something a teacher would make up, or a teenager rather. A teenager would create this in animation software, like for a school project, and show it and be so proud of how he can make the camera move around in the space that he's created. It just seemed like extremely amateurish.
Yep. All right. I gonna say this like back in my early years of like reading stuff and watching anime. I read the manga of Gans and one others that like halfway through I just feel so frustrated about both of them that I like I swear them off for good. Um, I I actually like read the whole first half of the manga of Gans I think, and I like at that part of time I still think it's shit. It just like rubbish. Still don't know why I keep reading it, and like watching this first episode of Gans again now. I just it even worse than I remember.
Brought all those feelings rushing
It's
back.
it it had a very unlikable lead. It had a lackluster animation. It's like you said, the composition are really weird, especially like the train part. It's just so stupid. It just everything is
Yeah.
stupid. It's
When they're running on the tracks,
yeah, that's right.
it does
They
not
just
look remotely real.
and it's it like the decision that they're running on the track is stupid as well because they can just jump up.
Back to the platform.
Yeah, that's right. And they said, but they decided to run across the track. I have no idea why they do that. I think they deserve to die because of that decision.
Damn, you sound like the main character of Gantz, saying people deserve to die.
Well, that characters deserve to die. I'm the maker. All right.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I agree that was a dumb scene. It looked awful
Yep,
because
it
it
does.
wasn't well put together. It also made no sense because they could have just, put their hands on the platform, pushed themselves up. They're both physically able,
To do that.
you know, teenagers. They're tall enough. They're strong enough. It didn't make a lot of sense. Also, the scene where the main guy's head got cut off,
Hmm.
the blood splatter was so bizarre. Like it did not track with the movement of his head through the air. And when his head landed
Hmm.
on the train platform,
Yep.
the it was just so strange. Like the in some places the blood pool seemed to be ahead of where the head was.
Yep.
In
Yep.
other
Yep.
places it seemed to be behind. It was just a big fucking mess. Um, what do you think of the decision to like be inside every character's head? Like we don't have a point of view character necessarily. We do have a main character, someone who we follow most of the time and whose thoughts
Hmm.
we hear most of the time, but we can also hear everyone else's thoughts whenever the show wants to grant us access to their brains. What do you think
Hmm.
about that?
I think that's a good idea, but I don't think it's work in the context because I think the whole point of they doing that is just um the attitude. It's just showing the hostile attitude from all the characters that like the world is shit. I don't trust everyone, and it just kind of getting irritated for me as time goes on.
Hmm.
Like the main characters here already, like really obnoxious about not trusting everyone about how low he can be.
Yeah, the main character is definitely an irritant. He's very selfish. He's just as bad. He's just as self-absorbed as all the people that he looks down on. Because at one
That's
point
right.
during the first half of the episode, when they're on the train platform, he's thinking to himself that, oh, this person over here is just a waste of space, and that person over there probably shouldn't be messed with. I don't want to have anything to do with them.
Hmm.
But he's the same, and I think that's probably intentional. I
Yep.
mean, this series is very perverse,
Hmm.
and not just in terms of its like violent and sexual content. It also just has a very perverse view of people in general. Kind
Yep.
of, I know this is Gantz is by the same guy who did Inuyashiki, and I remember
Hmm.
thinking the same about that show.
Really?
That it
Because
had a very negative view of human nature. Yeah.
hmm, because after watching the episode, I actually think higher of Inuyashiki now. The
Oh,
way
me
that
too.
they
Me too. I actually appreciate Inuyashiki more because this was so much, more juvenile and more stupid.
I still remember the second episode of Inuyashiki when they depict the serial killer. I think it actually done
That was actually pretty
much better
intense.
than. Sorry, just say that again.
I said that was actually pretty intense.
Yeah, yeah, it was, and it actually done much better than like the whole thing of Gans here that we see, and I think I still haven't get into the worst thing of that first episode of Gans. Two things that I found really bad is that afterwards like a naked girl, a naked beautiful girl just show up, and every boy in there just like going crazy, going gaga about that.
Right.
It's a really male centric view, and
Oh,
not a good
absolutely.
one as well. And second thing is we don't even get into like the main bit of the story yet. After this, like first episode, and I feel that's the story just pat out to teen.
Well, I don't think that it's padded out. This was actually a note that I took while I was watching. Like a modern adaptation of Gantz would have
Yep.
covered double this much material. Everything that we saw
Hmm.
in this first episode would have been all before the commercial break. In like if it were
True.
to be adapted now, because there
Hmm.
wouldn't be as much focus on the characters' thoughts, like psychologically their internal rhythm, what they're thinking and all that. It would be more plot oriented, I feel, and it wouldn't be as. I mean that it might even improve as a result of that change.
Hmm.
But it also wouldn't be Gantz anymore because this series is like misery porn. It's just it's about ugliness and perversity and just general hatred, nihilism, negativity. I mean, I haven't seen anything of Gantz beyond this first episode, but I know its reputation, and I
Oh, you
understand
haven't seen
the
anything.
way
All
people
right.
talk about it based on just this glimpse of the first episode.
Yep. And I think that is the problem with Gantz that first episodes because for us who only watch the first episode to see if we want to watch more, this doesn't really get into like the the main hook yet. I think that's
Right. We
gonna be
don't get
the
to see them
next
put on
one.
those black suits.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's gonna be the next one, and with with this episode that terrible, I just don't myself. I don't have any interesting things to continue watching it.
Yeah, well, neither do I. If I were gonna keep reading Gantz, which I'm not, I would do the manga
Hmm.
because I assume the art is way better there, and then you can read at your own pace. So you can blow through the yakuza rape scene and and just move on.
Yep.
Like I will say the one positive thing that I can take away from Gantz is that this story is like it's so unbound by traditional narrative structure. It
Hmm.
just doesn't really care to, I don't know, play by any sorts of rules. It'll break out of one character's head and throw you straight into another one if it feels like it.
Hmm.
Um, it'll have the characters talk about nothing in particular for a minute
Hmm.
and just have them, I don't know, insult one another or threaten one another without moving the plot forward at all if it feels like it.
Yep.
It will materialize a naked girl with massive anime tits out of thin air if it feels like it. And there's a certain unpredictability to it, I guess. It's predictable in
Right.
tone, but not predictable in content. And that's
I
kind of
agree.
interesting to me. Like, I was not bored at any point watching this episode. I
Yep.
was
I agree on that.
disappointed, but it was never boring.
Yep. Yep. I do agree with your take. But at the end of the day, it just like it's not the unlikable lead. It's not the lackluster animation. It's not the focus on gore and sex that turn me away. It's more of the like the very negative attitude. Like the world is shit. Like everything is boring. Of of the show that like I know that I will get angry at it. I will get personally attacked by it. Uh,
Yeah.
should I watch it more? So,
Yeah, I'm content to leave it here. I'm not going to, no more Gantz for me.
all right. So, what's your ranking, Whooper?
8.
10 for me,
All right.
right out the
I'm
gate.
I cannot believe that you think that some one of these shows is better than Gantz. I can't believe it.
Wow, right. Let's
We'll get
see.
there
Maybe I
eventually.
I put it. Yeah, we get that eventually. The next one is Hinotori.
All right. Yeah, this is I would say this is a big one, but this show has flown under the radar, pun intended, for its
Mm.
entire
Yep.
life, I think. I mean, back
Yeah.
when 2004 when it come out, it was probably a massive deal because it's an adaptation of Tezuka's unfinished masterwork. You
Yep.
got a lot of people probably very curious about it, but it's been largely forgotten. And I think that's a shame because although it is a little bit bare bones, and it just depicts things as they are in the manga, I still think that the story is interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. I think this is just like just get under the radar on most of the time, but the first episode served as like a very good introduction of the parable of the tragic interwoven tales about obsession and I think that's gonna be raised into a very interesting angles for all these
Yeah,
characters.
it is like a parable. That's a good point.
Yep. Yep.
It does feel like a fable. Feels very the themes are like baked straight into the story. Everything is
Hmm.
superficial. And I don't mean that in terms of
Yep.
shallow. I mean everything's there on the surface.
I
And that contributes to the drama of it.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that work both into its benefit and its it shocking as well. For the shocking, I just feel that every characters because they are there to serve for a purpose. They are not feel like real people. Like you said, they feel like superficials, and because they are there for a purpose, I also feel that it's kind of calculated as well. But that's just a very minor issue for me because like everything else work for me here.
Yeah, the characters definitely feel like types. I don't. I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that too much because the story is so grand. Like you can tell from
Hmm.
the first
Yep.
episode already. There's war, there's love, there's death, and recovery from illness.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's talk of immortality. There's marriage.
Yep.
There
Hmm.
is tragedy. There's joy. It runs the whole spectrum. And in order to showcase all of that in the span of 20 something minutes, you actually need the characters not to be too layered because you can't
Yep.
move from one emotion to the other and from one kind of parable to the next if the characters are like extremely psychologically real.
Yep. Yep. I
So
agree with that.
I think it's all right that Hinotori is laid out this way.
Yep. And
They
it's
also needed to get through a big chunk of Tezuka's huge manga that was never finished in the span of 13 episodes. They don't adapt the entire thing, but they do a lot.
mm,
Because I've seen this whole series, and I think it's pretty good.
wow, right. Yeah, they are like this one. I think they're gonna be like different story, right? And one OVA.
I can't remember. I think there's either 3 or 4 arcs
Yep.
in this 13 episode series. The OVA I don't know anything about. I know that there are 3 films from
Oh.
the 80s that each adapt different arcs from the manga.
Hmm.
One of which is one of my favorite 80s anime films, which is Phoenix Karma Chapter.
Hmm.
Um,
All right. Yep.
those are great. I recommend all of those for sure. Definitely Phoenix Karma Chapter
And is that like
as
run
the number
across?
one pick.
Yeah, is that run across the era? So they have like different era, different settings.
Yes.
So
But
that's
there are
gonna be like
commonalities between them. There are some characters that may or may not have been reborn through those ages.
wow, grand. Like yeah,
Yeah, it's
watching
big.
that.
It's a big story, and it was never even finished.
Yeah, watching this first episode of Phoenix, I just think that yeah, everyone is just like a pieces in the chessboard, and I kind of like it as well. Um, the animation, I don't think it's bearable at all because it's look great for me. I was surprised by it. It's not a lot of action, but the act style was definitely Tezuka's. So they honor it. They actually make a good update to it. I actually prefer that
Yeah.
the character design in here more than Dororo, for example, for some reason. I think
Um.
the main character
Yeah.
the main characters Nagi the boy look a lot like that girl in Dororo,
I mean, her
but I
name
don't
was
mind.
Dororo, right?
Oops, yep, but I don't mind.
I think her name was Dororo because the other guy was Hyakimaru. Um.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. The character designs they're nice. They match the characters' personalities very well. They're also very consistently drawn.
Yep.
And there is a little bit of action here, like the storming the beach scene when all of the soldiers get off the boats, um,
Mm-hmm.
and they get off and they run up the hill, and there's some reused animation, like they draw a handful of soldiers and then they kind of copy and paste them. But as for the actual, you know, animation of those little bits of each of the individual people,
Mm-hmm.
they look nice. Like their sandals kind of sink into the sand as they're running, and their little splashes. Um, and they have like aggressive body language, and they're all surging forward. And it feels like it's been a while since I've seen a hand drawn army in anime, because now they're usually CG.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
the combat here and like the unloading of the troops and just their movement in general was pretty nice.
Yep. Yep.
Um, it's good
Yep.
stuff.
I really have no complaint about this story so far. I really want to watch more of this.
Yeah, oh, definitely recommend it. Especially since it's like multiple stories in one small 13 episode package.
Hmm. All right, I'd rank it third out of 10. How about you?
All right, I have it fourth.
Fourth. Interesting. So we still have a lot of good stuff, you know. If we all sing praise about Hinotori and we put that like third and fourth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Hinotori, I just don't really have any complaints about, but I don't think it's the best of the lot here.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good though.
All right, the next one gonna be Kururo Gunso's
Oh,
Gun
Keroro Gunso, Sergeant Frog.
Surgeon Frog. Yep.
Yeah, this show has an addictive theme song.
Really?
I really like the non sequitur lyrics.
All right, I
Yeah,
know. I don't.
it's fun.
Okay, cool. Because I don't really recall that at all. I have another good OPs now on the
Do you
line.
remember the
Two
lyrics
of them
being about
actually.
like curry rice?
Yep. You
Yeah,
haven't make the curry rice or something. Yes.
yeah. It's just nonsense. Like it's just crazy nonsense. It's funny. I like
Yep.
it.
So yeah, this show have many quirky elements, and I think some of that work. Like it's revolved around an alien frog uh who want to destroy the world, and but he also split between being mischief and being friendly with the host. And
Right.
I feel
And
like
what's
the
interesting
the
about the episode is that
yep. Go
you
on.
jump right into his domestic life with the vacuum cleaner. And then after the commercial break, it tells the story of his arrival and his integration into the main family. I kind of like that choice because it let the show like its mission statement is we're just gonna go crazy.
Mhm.
So that's what you get right from the opening minutes, and then after like the craziness levels start to reach your peak and you kind of get tired of it, then it's like all right, let's reset. Let's tell you how exactly this situation came to be. So I like the way
Y-
it was structured.
Yeah, but it come at the cost as well. That at first we don't really know what happened, so we just like get along with them, not knowing about the character themselves. And it does help that these characters are like really typical. So we don't have a lot of time to like get adjust to this, but like some I feel like I'm not that following the story for the first few minutes, and I think that intentional.
Yeah, definitely intentional. And I also don't think it matters very much
True,
what the story is.
true.
It's he's just having a great time vacuuming, and getting. I can't remember what happened. Like honestly, this episode was a bit of a blur to me. I know that he kind of got kicked and punched by the girl, the sister, um, which is pretty amusing because he's like so small. It's like she's abusing a little doll.
Oh,
And he's cheeky, like it's not as though he's just a cute little frog and that's it. He also like laughs at her expense and at people's misfortunes sometimes.
yep.
So he's reaping his just rewards when he gets rammed into the drywall.
Yep. I feel like the comedy is a bit hit and miss for me at this point. I feel like it hits some at some point like especially like for example these uh the brother and sister just point out like there's an alien and you it actually true. I think that was really good timing. Oh,
In the second
in the
half,
second half.
yeah,
That's right. But most of the time, I think that they just go overplay at times. They just like they doing one extreme to another, and I don't think Lao is fun anymore.
I think it's kind of kooky and crazy and quirky.
Yeah,
It's not just loud.
it's
Rather
loud
than the
as well.
volume, I think the issue is the
Mhm.
consistency.
Right.
Like it doesn't ever take its foot off the gas.
Hmm.
So, like for example, to just jump to like 2019 for a second, Demon Slayer,
Hmm.
the character, the yellow-haired character who's very loud,
Yep.
he's like intolerable for me. I can't stand him. But he doesn't. He's not always talking. In this show, I like the crazy loud characters a lot more than him, but they are always talking. Someone is
Mm.
always, being a
Yep.
nut job.
Mm.
But
Mm.
they kind of brought things back to the ground floor for the second half of the episodes, right as I was getting tired of watching
Mm.
them be nuts.
Yep.
And that was all right. I thought in general the episode was all right. I like how
Yep.
confident Sergeant Frog is, despite how easily overpowered he is and how distracted he is by like tiny things.
Yep.
He's still like so confident that he's going to take over Earth.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
That's endearing.
All right. So it provide me some laugh, but not that much. And I found the whole episode to be, like a
Yeah.
bit like not on my liking that much. So I put that 9 of 10.
For me, it was 7.
Cool. 7 of 10. Cool.
What's next up?
All right. The next up gonna be the good one. Koi Kaze.
Koi Kaze. Yes.
All right.
This is the incest show.
Yep. Yep. I remember watching the first episode a long time ago. Just the first one. I intend to watch more, but haven't found the time to. And I remember really liking it. This second time though, I do think it improved. It actually, like it's just so good.
Improves.
And
Wow.
yeah, we're talking about a show that have a really taboo subject matter here. So it's about incest. It's about a gap love story as well, and
Yeah.
it have like a general premise of like them start to living together, which I feel like very cliche. But for me, the rest is just phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say it's cliche. I think more
Say
than a brother
phenomenal,
and sister living
right?
together. I don't think that's I mean they're family. I don't think that's very cliche. I think the biggest like convenience in this episode is that everyone is just getting out of relationships. Like the
Mm-hmm.
main character Koshiro has just broken up with his super hot girlfriend.
Yep.
His dad has just been dumped, and so he kind of teases his dad at one point, like don't even think of getting back together with mom just because you've
Mm.
broken up with your latest squeeze.
Yep.
And he's like, "What are you saying?"
Yep.
And
Yep.
then the girl as well, Nanoka, the sister, she confessed her feelings to a boy at her junior high graduation, and he gave her his second button from his
Yep.
uniform
Mm.
rather than the first button, which would be like a reciprocation of her feelings. I really like that little nuance,
Yep.
like learning about that little bit of cultural stuff there.
Mm.
So
I,
everyone's just getting out of relationships. Everyone is sad, and it's the perfect time to fall back in love with a blood relative.
well, well. For me, the most, yeah, I can see a kind of your point. I think for me the most convenient thing is that they actually have many chances to meet each other before they know that they're gonna be, like living in the same roof. But like despite the fact that like the plot is kinda convenient, their personality just like shine through, and especially I feel like their dialogue for each other is to the point. So I really
Yeah,
enjoy them.
I like the conversation in the Ferris wheel
Yep.
compartment.
Yep. Yep.
It's really interesting because Koshiro has like is forcing himself, I guess, or perhaps not even forcing himself. Maybe he's just naturally like letting his former flame flicker out and die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she makes that comment to him, have you ever really loved anyone from the bottom of your heart?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, maybe we can infer that the answer is no. He's never like been deeply in love with somebody.
Yep.
So when they're in the that's his perspective, I guess. But when they're in the Ferris wheel compartment,
Mm-hmm.
Nanoka is expressing that if there were a window, she would just throw the button away, you know,
Yep.
because she has to just move on and get past this and kind of be cold-hearted in order to protect herself, which is what Koshiro is doing essentially. But he, seeing someone who's like younger and has less experience and who he wants to, you know, he wants the best for her, I suppose.
Yep.
He says, no, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see those two sides of his character, the latter of which is brought out by meeting this girl.
Yeah, that's true. And they also highlight the very moment that they meet each other. You know, like they both of them they don't realize the spring comes on these uh cherry blossoms, and it's just the moment
Oh
that
yeah,
he called out to her, and she looked up and she realized that the first spring come. They nailed it the moment, and I just feel like not only that like that is some like special moment that they like they each other knows while they first met each others, but like the observations of all this I just just so good, just top notch. It's
yeah,
very sensitive,
yeah.
so really like it.
Yeah, the show is paying a lot of attention to how the characters feel at any given moment. Like one of the first time we see Koshiro, I think, is in a bathroom, and he's like splashing water on his face, and he
Yep.
leaves and forgets his briefcase, and then comes back for it a few seconds
Mm-hmm.
later. So like you
Yep.
can tell wordlessly that he's you know, he's distracted.
Yep.
He's feeling bad, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Then later you learn why that is. So that's something I always appreciate when you get a sense of a character's emotional state,
Mm-hmm.
or their general mentality or personality,
That.
and then later you like the show fills in why. If you can
Mm-hmm.
get a sense of who they are first and then learn about the reasons, I think that's the correct order to do things in. A lot of anime has it flipped,
Yep.
and you get a character's entire life story first, and only then, after like 50 episodes, are you
Mm-hmm.
starting to experience who they are as a human being,
That's true.
which is
That's
wrong.
true. Yep. Yep. It just reverse. It's just not not the other. Yes, I agree. So I just feel that the two person that we met here are really well run. Even like just spending 20 minutes with them, don't know a lot about them or their backstory. But we feel I feel like I know them as persons, and I think that's important.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my god, this gonna be a big sad story going forward.
Big sad story. You think so?
I do.
Have you seen it?
I
Have
think
you
so.
read it?
No, no, I haven't. Just nothing
Okay.
past the first episodes.
Yeah. I've seen it, but
All right,
mum's the word.
all right. This is one of the show that I really want to check out the most. This one and one other show that gonna be down bottom of the list. That the list.
Oh.
Uh,
Well,
yeah,
where's
but
this one on the list?
all right. This one is second.
Okay, I put it first.
Yep. Agreed. Whew. All right, so
So
we move on to the
we're
next one.
pausing every time we say those numbers because we're like writing down each other's scores and rankings and things. For those of you
Yep.
listening at home,
Cool.
so we've
So
had we've talked about 4 shows so far, and most of them have been separated by all of them have been separated by either one or two placements. So we're
yep,
pretty much on the same page so far.
yep. We will get to the one that middle range right now, and I think where our opinion might differ a lot.
Could be.
So so the next one is Kyo Caramel Maou,
Right.
which
I
is
think it
king
means in
from now
English it
on.
means like right. Yeah. It I think literally means like from today I'm a demon lord. Because you can hear one of the characters refer to the main dude as a demon lord after he shows up in this other world.
Yep. All right. Is it
So
an
full disclosure, I only got halfway through this episode and then I shut it off.
really? Really?
Yep.
All right. Huh. Interesting. All right, because is it? I just want to ask a question. Is it a shonen ai isekai?
I don't know if it's shown an eye. I mean, it has a lot of male characters, um,
It, all right. So
but that doesn't
where did
necessarily
you?
mean that it's gay.
Yeah. Where did you turn off? Like
The halfway
at what
point,
point?
the
The
commercial break.
halfway. All right. Yeah, because we will see that the main character Yuri he gonna meet some other boys down the line at the like after uh on the second half of the first episodes.
Okay. Oh,
Um
you know what? I just realized his name is Yuri,
yep.
so it's probably shown an eye. Yeah.
All right, for me because I have watched the whole thing. I think I'm gonna start first. It had a generic setup. We see this kind of story like a lot in anime. This man dude he's destined to be a king. He gonna meet several handsome boys who help him along the way. He learned the new word as well. uh on the positive notes though, I quite like the medieval setting world here. I feel like the character act is alright as well.
Oh
Is
God,
easy to the eyes.
the character art is good.
It's not
I
good.
thought there was nothing good about any
It's not good,
aspect of
but
the art in.
it pleasant. All
All right.
right,
Well, that's good.
that's what that's where we differ, I think.
I'm
Uh,
surprised you can even tell what the character art is because it changes from frame to frame.
is it so? All right.
Yeah, man. The reason I shut this off is not because the story was so painfully bad, which it was, but like the guy literally gets a swirly and is sucked down a toilet into another world. Let's we
All
can
right.
both comfortably admit that is the shittiest, pun intended, story idea that I
All
have
right.
yet seen.
Pat. All right. Pardon my pun, but I think that is the highest point of the of these first episodes.
That's a high point.
It is the high point. The flushing down the toilet part.
Ugh. I mean, I don't generally like these sorts of stories where a character's transported to a fantasy world. Um, but if you're gonna tell a story like that, at least get them there in a way that isn't like totally, I don't know, puerile, like sophomoric,
Yeah.
juvenile, infantile, disgusting, stupid, unbelievable. No flushing people down toilets to send them to other worlds. That should be in the Geneva Convention.
I see your point. And then
But
with the hot.
the reason I went down this whole tangent was that's not the reason why I stopped
So,
watching. The reason I stopped watching is this is one of the worst looking anime I've ever seen.
all right.
Ever.
All right.
Like when cars are driving on the road, the tires are spinning at a different speed than the cars are moving. When characters are charging at each other on horseback, they are just still images being moved up and down with a blue and white flashing speed line background. It
All
really
right.
like turn off the sound, turn off the subtitles, just watch the images. It looks amateurish. It doesn't look like, I don't know. It doesn't look like it was made by professional animators or painters or I don't I just thought it was hideous.
Yeah, no, keep going, keep going. The
No, that's about all I got, man.
whole point of this of the postcard is that we recommend stuff or not recommend stuff. So like the more the more you complain about that, the better information, the more
I mean, I've already
uh
started to put it out of my mind,
right.
but it just
I
the character art is not consistent. The backgrounds are oftentimes painful to look at, and I mean
one
it's
thing
dumb
though
on
is,
top of all that. Well, that's
yeah,
all right. That's me
because
done.
it's a yeah, because it's supposed to be like like a devil world, I think, the hell. But this look like the medieval Europe, so I have no idea what they uh, what they planning to do.
Well, I'll say this. I think that a lot of people, like, those of us who go back and watch older anime, for example, like, I don't
Yep.
know, 12 Kingdoms or Fushigi Yugi or something like that,
Uh-huh.
we'll see like a regular medieval setting and be
Yep.
like, "Wow, this is amazing. Finally, a setting that's not like, based on a video game." But the thing is, if we were watching anime in 2004 and a character was sent across, dimensions into a generic medieval fantasy setting, we would be like, "Again? Are you serious? This is so boring and tiresome." That this is just the
The
2000s version of
yeah.
video game mechanic isekai series. It's just as dumb. It's just from
All
a
right.
different part of anime history.
Yeah. In other words, like a product of its time.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
And I mean, that was
S-
actually the reason each of us selected 5 of these 10 series to watch, and then we put them
Yep.
together. That's how we choose which 10 to do. And the reason I intentionally chose this one, not because I thought it
Uh,
was going to be great, and not because I thought it was going to be bad necessarily, but because it was, an isekai series from the 2000s. So by watching it, we can get a little bit of a history lesson. And I didn't like this class. I will not
all
be
right.
taking it again.
All right. So I would assume that you put it last, right?
I did. I couldn't even
All
finish
right.
it.
So, I put it 8 out of 10.
Gotcha. All right.
Cool.
Well, we might have the same number. Oh no, we don't have the same number 9 because you put Sergeant Frog ninth. Damn. Okay. Cool.
Oh, what? Yeah.
You're gonna have
Yeah,
to
that's right.
explain to me why you put your number 7 series where you did. That's gonna have to be. Oh wait, I'm not even sure that I know what it is. We'll get there though.
We get there. We get there. The next one, I think we might have a different opinion about as well, is Madlax.
Right. So this is what I'm assuming your number 7 series is, because if it's not this, then it has to be. Well, it doesn't have to be anything else necessarily, but
All right, I gonna tell you this. This one. All right, my sorry, not this one. My number 8, 9, and 10, and I regarding my number 7, 6, and 5 are on different levels. So this one actually I regard much higher than the last three.
okay. Yeah, this I couldn't even make heads or tails of this show, man. Can you explain the plot to me?
Right. Explain the plot. There's an
Yeah.
assassins who come to take the disc. The classify information, everything in that disk, and she come up to like a team where they have it, and like she try to show that as well. She try to help the guy. So
She
that
tried
self
to help the guy.
yeah, that young dude who named Pete. So it's a standalone episodes basically.
Who has the disc?
Remember
Like
that?
what country or what nationality or what like what
Oh,
what organization has the disc?
yeah, we. All right, we don't know that for sure. Nope,
And who is
I
she
don't think
working
that
for?
that is right. For someone. So it yeah it a standalone episode. So We don't know about
No,
the
but
main
the thing
plot
is,
yet.
we don't have enough information for it to stand alone. It can't stand alone.
I see your point.
I was lost. I was lost watching this episode. I had no like, and this is a B Train series, so
Yep.
B Train was like a laughing stock in the 2000s for just making a bunch of series with girls with guns. Most of them not very well plotted. Most of them not having the best animation direction. And this is one of those. And I just felt like it was a B Train series. Like not a lot of context was given, not a lot of intrigue to the characters. Just running around in a jungle and setting things on fire, and then shooting 10 shots at the main character point blank, and all of them missing. And then she shoots the Green Beret guy between the eyes with one
Yep.
bullet, knocks him out. It was
Yep.
just unspeakably dumb.
All right. Yeah. This is from the creative team of Noir and Casado
Yeah,
de la Prucha. I haven't watched either of them, so I can't tell
I've
about
seen the
their
first episode of
the
either.
qualities. From this first episode, though, I'm actually intrigued to find out more. I can see your point. I can see that it have so many goddamn insert songs to the point of like being really overwhelming.
Well, it's
Uh
the music's by Yuki Kajiura, who did like Madoka and Fate Zero
oh right.
and stuff like that.
I actually
And you
quite
can hear it. I mean,
yeah, I really like the OP of of Madlax.
yeah, it's definitely her style of music. I mean, she never switches it up. You always know a Yuki Kajiura song when you hear it. Yeah, I thought the OP was pretty good.
All right,
So
I thought as a like an episode onto itself, so a standalone.
standalone.
Sorry, say that again. Episode, I think it work because it is more focused about the man, the boy who named Pete, and about her mission to like to retrieve the disc, but like end up helping him as well. So it has something about her character too. For the bigger pictures, I think it's more as a as a showcase for the titular characters than like have anything to do with explaining or expanding the world. So that's why we don't
So
have
her name is
Madlax.
go on. Her name is
Yeah,
actually Madlax.
her name is actually Madlax. Yes.
What?
Um,
What the hell?
I think it's
I
just a
don't get
code
it.
name. I think
How's
it's
that
just
a name? Is that a code name?
I think it's a code name, and I remember like twice in the episodes like characters uh about to say her name, so they say Ma, and then they stop in the middle of something. So that happened once when that young dude was driving with his hip hop sergeant, and he said like we're gonna see we're gonna get we're gonna encounter make sure not to encounter an assassin who named Ma, and then he couldn't tell the whole name. In the end of the episode as well, when this guy asked for her name, she also said Ma, and then realized that he passed away, and then he said like my name is Madlax.
Why would that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If he's dead, wouldn't that be the opportunity to say her real name?
Maybe
Why does she use the code name
all
when
right.
talking to a dead man?
All right, maybe because she doesn't remember her real name. Maybe because she had lost her memories. That's that I want
Oh,
to find out as
of
well.
course she's an amnesiac.
So yeah, so I was getting to the point. Yeah, so in the grand scheme where it's come to like connecting to the big plot, I think it's still very vague and very stupid as well. Like the whole thing about the disc is really stupid.
Dude, I don't
Do
even
you
remember
remember
anything about
anything?
a disc. I
Yes,
watched this
yes,
just a
yeah.
couple hours ago and I already forgot everything.
Yep, yep,
I
yep.
took notes
I will.
too.
I was about to say that. Like, did you ever remember like the this at all? So at one point, the older dude who gave Pete the disc saying that you should keep that, and I at that point I already think that is stupid because like he having the disc why he gives to the young inexperienced man who might be die before him, who might be get caught by the enemy before him. That important disc. And then
Yeah, I don't.
when he
I mean, I
when
guess
that
it's
guy
good that I don't
Pete,
remember that since it apparently doesn't make a lot of sense.
yep, yep. I try to explain you that as well. And
Oh,
then
I've
when
already lost
that guy,
interest.
all right, just I skip the whole thing now. Um,
So basically, the
I
disc, Madlax gets the disc and wins and saves the day and shoots the Green Beret guy after he misses her after emptying like 2 clips in her general direction.
That's right.
Nice. With a
Um,
ring of fire around them and like chanting. Dude, the soundtrack was like all the chanting vocals, like the wailing vocals. Uh, it's like so mystical and tribal. And like for what purpose? I I don't get it.
all right. So
It was weird. I just felt weird.
all right. So I would reckon I would think that you put that 9 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
All right. It's my number 7.
All right. I thought that was probably going to be the case.
Yeah, but
Wasn't sure though.
I definitely gonna check it out more. I actually feel the show is interesting to watch.
Have you watched any more of Nana?
I haven't. Do it
The show
first,
that you
right?
put first on the spring 2006 time capsule
Y-
episode?
yes, sir.
You've been a
I
very
mean,
naughty anime watcher. So let me. I've one thing I did manage to write in my notes was my reasoning, like my overall thoughts on my 10, 9, and 8 picks. So
yep.
number 10, Kyo Katamao, was so bad that it was pathetic. Number 9, Madlax, so bad it was boring. And number 8, Gantz, so bad that I couldn't stop watching.
All right.
Those are my general. So that's I guess my order in terms of like when an anime does not seem very good to me. I guess that's what I value. Like watchability is first, and then
Yep.
engagement level, like boring or not, is second, and then just whether something just makes me feel pity and like disgust. That would be the lowest.
Well, I I see that. Well, with Gans though, I think it's so offensively bad that it take me away from
Yeah,
enjoying
I
the
guess you
story.
could use disgusting. You could use disgusting to describe Gantz as well. I don't think it's pathetic though, like the production of it and the.
No, it's
I don't
not.
think it's a
No.
pathetic anime. It's pretty bad though.
Yep. All right. Let's see if you had the same opinion on this one, on the next one.
What's
Maho
that?
Shoujo Tai Arusu with a Tweeny Witches.
Yes. So this show has something of a some significance for the two of us because we write for
Yep.
the same anime blog,
Yep.
and the guy who started the anime blog, this was his favorite anime of all time.
That's right. That's right.
Um,
That's how I know about the
really
series
really
as well.
interesting pick. Yeah, same
Hmm.
here. A lot of what I know about anime is actually based on like just a handful of blogs that I used to read like every day. Years and years ago, like a decade ago probably,
Hmm.
was when I was really doing a lot of anime blog stuff.
Yep.
And I always remembered that this was PS Gel's, or however you say it,
Yep. His
favorite
name.
anime series. And I can, like, since he was so interested in just shows that were different,
Hmm.
that went down like uncommon paths, I can understand why. Because this show is very, very much its own thing.
I agree with that, and I'm so in love with the settings. I think I told you before, and I don't know if I have said in this postcard ever before, but I always like the witches settings. I found that fantasy world very, like welcoming, immersing. I think it.
And it's not even a medieval one. We did it. We found a series with a fantasy setting that is wholly original.
That's right. Hey, and I think that's
I think the setting is the best thing about this show.
yep.
Yeah.
I think that part of my liking to the witches is come from Harry Potter. I'm not really sure, but like every anime that have the same like setting as rich as Harry Potter is good on my book, and I agree with you that the setting is the best thing about this. But uh, by saying that, on the other hand, everything else about that the episode is very uh let's just say uneven. The plot is making no sense at this moment. It proceeds too quickly. But I think the word is that the characters I feel I really have back and have like many like illogical logic. Make a lot of like logic that make no sense, especially the lead girl Arusu.
What does she do that makes no sense?
All right, because whenever she see about this world, she her like her immediate reaction is that like it's for fun. It is you are supposed to be fun. You it's not the word that the which word that I like envision on my in my head, and she
Yeah.
always run with that logic,
Is that
and
illogical?
it just it just feels so phony.
Really? Huh.
All right.
I don't agree.
All right. Go on,
Um,
go on.
One thing that I noted while watching was that we got the flashback to the moment of her transportation to this other world.
Yep, yep, yep.
Um, and before that, we saw that when she was in class, there was some sort of discussion about people's faces being read. I can't remember how that came up in the classroom, but eventually it was like the teacher's face was red or something. And then she, in the middle of class, she took red paint, put it on her hand, and like slapped it on people's heads and faces.
Yep, yep.
Um, in order to make their faces red because she just wanted to have fun. That was what she wanted to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I noted to myself, like, she would be a teacher's worst nightmare. But I think the point of this series is to show us that even people who just have this constant drive to like play and experiment and make mischief,
Mm-hmm.
they have value as well, and they just need the proper setting. They just need the proper role.
Hmm.
Um, they need to be put into the right place, and they can also do great things. So I think that's what this show is going to teach us, that by taking her to this other world, she's going to apply her unique brand of, like, her unique sensibility, that everything ought to be fun, and that, people ought to, I don't know,
Yep, yep.
have just follow their bliss, essentially, just be whimsical. She's going to apply that here to this world, and hopefully it's going to go over a little
Mm.
bit better. I guess that's what the story is going to be. Her rubbing up against the very old and stodgy and traditional witches who we've already seen. Like in the second half of this, the
Mm.
episodes are 11 minutes long,
Yep.
but in the episode 2, I guess the second half of the first set, there's a
Yep.
long scene where it's just political, like it's just
Mm-hmm.
witches talking to each other about like traditions and not being lax in their duties and making sure that everything is a certain way. And I mean, I think very obviously that the idea is these characters are the villains, or at the very least, they hold ideals that need to be torn down, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what Alice is going to do. So
Yep.
I don't think her philosophy or her worldview is really half baked. I think it's very intentional. It's just very rowdy and not easy to get a grip on.
Yeah.
Um, it makes
All
her
right.
character a little hard to process, but
Yep. Yep.
I
Yep.
think it's going somewhere.
Cool. But I remember like the like you said about her flashback before she get into the world, and the event led into her, like falling off the building. For me, it's just so uh unreal. It's just so convenient, I think.
That she gets spirited away to another world.
No, no, no. That like she was in the classroom, and by she supposed we they supposed to like taking lesson, and by some strange event they end up like on the top of the roof of the school, and where while in there like the roof is not secure enough for them to like to actually go into the edge of the building and falling up there. It just feel unreal for me. The whole things, the whole thing is just feel unreal, and it just feels so convenient that like because of this event, she was transported into this magical world.
But you had no issue with someone getting a swirly and taking a toilet tube to another world, right?
That's different issues. That different series we're talking about.
Sore wa sore, kore wa kore. That's right.
This is this. That
This and
is
that are
that.
two different things.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well. I.
No,
Yeah.
it makes it a character falling to their death and being rescued at the last moment makes a lot more sense to me than a character taking a toilet and transporting dimensions through it. And I mean, we also got glimpses during Alice's life in the real world. We saw like she was having visions of a masked. Well, I guess we couldn't see whether it was a person or what it was, but it was like someone wearing a mask. She would get brief flashes of this person in the moments leading up to her transportation, her getting spirited away. So I think it's safe to assume that someone summoned her here. The person who she was seeing in the visions probably summoned her here.
Right. So yeah, I think the more I watch it, the more that like I will get immersed to the world, and I do feel that the act style as well is really good. Uh
Yeah.
it's like the best thing I've seen out of the 10 shows.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it has the best art direction.
Yep. So for me, wow, some of the plot for the first two episodes that we see are not are really shaky, uneven. It holds a lot of potential, and out of these 10, this is the one that I want to check it out the most.
I see. Um, I have seen 6 episodes of Tweeny Witches, and I stopped watching at that point.
Right.
So there, in the interest of time, I won't go into some of the things from these first 2 episodes that we watched. I won't go into the things that like I didn't really care for, but some of the stuff that I didn't like so much about Tweeny Witches at the start continued. Like some of the presentation choices continued as the series went on, and that kind of bothered me. I wasn't able to really get into any of the episodes. I was just kind of standing at a distance, admiring how strange it was, and how kind of whimsical it was, but I wasn't getting into
Yep.
it. So that's
Yeah.
my
I yeah
experience with this series.
yeah. I think the main problem gonna be how you connected with the main character Arushu, because she not really that like relatable,
Yeah.
and we
What
we
I do think though that there are probably a lot of people like people who didn't perform very well in school, people with I don't know like things like ADD or ADHD,
yep.
who didn't feel as though they really fit into the mold that you're supposed to fit into as a kid, where you're just like getting filled up every day with knowledge. You have to sit still. You have to take tests. You have to behave a certain way. I think a lot of people might watch this and actually find someone they can really relate to. That's not me though. Like
Yep.
I fit into a box. I fit into society's box, no problem.
All
But
right.
I don't know
So
whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But
it's not either good or bad. It just
that's a good way of putting it.
yep. It's just a thing. I put that
True.
5 out of 10, fifth.
So did I.
Hmm. So we agree on this one actually.
I think we've agreed on most of them. We've had
Yep.
disagreements about each of them, but I think for the most part we agree. Maybe
Right.
not about Madlax actually, but
Yeah. Still.
that's fine.
Yep. All right. The next
There
one.
is, I can tell you right now, there is going to be one. We have only 3 series left. There's going to be one where we actually differ quite a bit. Two, I suppose I should say.
Hmm. We only have the three muscles, so let's see. I'm waiting. The next one gonna be Midori Days.
Right.
Oh,
Um,
Midori no Hibi.
yeah. That just means Midori days, I think. And Midori, as far as I'm aware, means green.
Huh.
So
Yep. Green
I
Days.
think the idea is like green is supposed to evoke like springtime, the springtime of one's youth in
Oh.
Japan speak.
Uh.
Because that's very much what this series is about. It's about a kid. Um, it's not just about the main character. Like what's his face? Did I write anyone's name
Seiji.
down? Yes, Seiji. It's not just
Yep.
about Seiji's springtime of his life, but also Midori, because she's been given this wonderful opportunity.
And because her hair is green as well, I think it
Right?
it
Yeah, her
referred
hair's
to
green
her
too.
hair.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yes, I'm sure that's
Uh.
true as too, but I think the title's also meant to evoke spring and like
hmm. Yep.
blooming and promise and potential, and in this case, it's romantic.
All right. Um. It's safe for one really weird fan service scenes where you see the girl like topless. I think like
Right?
the rest of this first episode is adorable. It is for me a
Yeah.
simple plot done right.
It's a what plot done right?
A simple.
Simple. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. It can afford to be simple because the characters carry it the rest of the way.
Yeah, true, true, true. And even with the plot that like at first.
Seiji's really fun.
Yep, true. Even Midori as well, and even with the plot that you think at first is like for fan service, like a girl he like actually appear as part of his hand, and like follow him along the way, and like she already had a crush on him, like on the paper
Yeah.
it sound like a a dream come true, like a wet dream from a boy. But like the execution of it so far is cute, adorable, and yeah, and I think hit the right notes.
I think why it works is because it's not a dream come true for him, and he makes that very clear. He's weirded out by it, and he doesn't know this girl. He doesn't like her.
True, true, true.
She loves him, but it's not as though he takes advantage of that fact. He at one point he says to himself, "Oh, this might not be so bad after all." But critically, he doesn't say that because you see her boobs. He says that because she is cleaning up his magazines and helping him straighten his room. So he's
Yep.
a teenage boy in more ways than one. He's not just obsessed with sex all the time, though he is. He also has a messy room, and he's also misunderstood by his classmates and kind of dumb and fun loving and kind of crazy. So
Yep.
there's a lot going on with him, and I assume, actually I've seen this whole series, but
You have seen the whole series?
yes.
Wow. Good on
Just
you.
but just like pretending that I've seen only one episode, I would
Yep.
I would assume that we're going to learn more about Midori as well because he goes to her house and her family pretends that she is
I
that they're aware of her whereabouts, that she's just like away.
I do think that this is like some psychological issue from Midori that she actually appear like this, So maybe like her real self is, like maybe just been sleeping somewhere. I don't know. That is my assumption right now. So I do think that the plot going forward is gonna be Seiji. It's not like um the everybody between them, but it's more about Seiji finding out about why Midori's uh turning into this way, and why she actually trying to escape her real world to be, like a hand of someone guys, and she actually happy about that.
Right. Yeah, I would say that's probably a safe bet. We're going to learn more about her family situation, why things ended up this way, how she really feels, like apart from the initial elation of like being so close to the guy she likes. She's still
It's
feeling
like,
great because at the end of the first episode, she looks up at the moon and says, "This was the first moon I saw from through his window, from his room, and it was so beautiful." But things probably aren't going to stay that way forever.
yep.
Even though the show is like very positive and very happy-go-lucky, especially at like all the cutaway scenes where Seiji, like a girl will respond to him positively, and then he'll be like, in his mind, you'll see him throwing a strike in a bowling alley, or like there'll be a little crayon illustration like the kindergartner would draw of him like strolling through the park, having a great time. Despite that general tone of like positivity, this is a really messed up situation.
It is.
And
It kind of is, yes.
yeah, and eventually the show may choose to go there. It may not. It's a mystery.
Yep. I just check it. I thought this is gonna be like a really long running series. Like I'm thinking of like 50, 60 episodes. It's just like one core.
Yeah, that's why I watched it
Interesting.
back in the day.
Yep.
I really loved the first episode. When I watched, this is my second time watching the first episode. It just gives me a Gainax feel,
Really.
like the sort of Gainax
Wow.
that made. Well, you just recently watched Evangelion. I'm not talking about that
Yep.
Gainax.
Yep.
I'm talking about like Abenobashi Magical Shopping Arcade Gainax, or
It had this.
Mahoromatic Gainax, or one of the more fan servicey kind of fun and bouncy off the wall
Bouncy.
Gainax
Yep.
series. Yeah, bouncy.
Yep. Well, I actually can see that. Like it have like some quirky, elements that you can find in Gainax. I can see that.
Yeah.
I think the scene that worked more effective to me is actually the highlight of the show of this episode for everyone. Is the scene where she using her body to shield to shield the heat
Stop the
from.
surprise attack.
Yeah, that's right. And I thought that it was so in characters. She did that because she doesn't want to let other knows that she can talk, but she did that to to
Right.
protect the guy she liked as well, and he was surprised by that as well. So it worked.
Right.
It all
Yeah, she has a
like
mind of her own.
fit very well.
Yeah, and as the show goes on, there are more ways that her autonomy and her position on his hand is like used in kind of fun little scenes like that.
Wow. All right. So
Get your mind out of the gutter. I don't know what you're thinking about.
Yep. Whoops. All right, I'll put it 6.
See, this is for me number 3.
3. Like the first different from us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think the next one gonna be like totally different from both of us. But let's see. We get
right.
into the heavyweights now. Just two shows left, and two shows
Right.
I would say that most of us, like will have a higher chance to watch it out of this 10. And that's why we might have like different opinion on that as well, because like when the reputation is big, um I don't it just like have different effect on us as well.
I
We
guess.
don't.
Yeah, people can be influenced by the general perception of a series.
Yep.
Personally, I don't really like. I have so much disdain for other anime fans, and I think they're all like grass-fed cows. So I don't really care. Like if a series has been seen by 10,000 people or 10 million people. Makes no difference to me.
Yep. All right. So let's go with it. The one that we're gonna talk about is Monster.
Right.
I
Monster. It's
All
an
right.
adaptation of a manga from everyone's favorite author slash artist. I don't even remember his name right now.
All right. Urasawa. Naoki
Yeah,
Urasawa.
Naoki Urasawa. That's right. Yes, and
That's
so we get the art style. We get the very realistic, well-proportioned faces.
Yep.
We get the general adherence to real-world color schemes and all of that.
Um.
And
Yep.
looks pretty good. I mean, it
It's
doesn't it doesn't help that it's in 480p. Like it hasn't received a remaster that I'm aware of. Um, but that's the case for a lot of anime that were produced in this time period when everything was digital. Like things were created and mastered at a very low resolution. So
Yep.
even the stuff that's like 1080p from this time period is basically just an upscale. They don't have like high res stuff to go back to and actually make a new copy. Like they don't have film.
Yep. That's sad.
So Monster's probably
But
stuck in 480p hell for the foreseeable future.
yep. All right, dude. I'm so right with that. Um, as for Naoki Urasawa, like everything of his work is not necessarily set in Japan. This one set in Germany, and
Mm-hmm.
I it's the modern day of Germany as well. I think it's just in the 90s,
1980s,
80s. Yep,
1986. Yeah,
1986. So
is
it
when it starts.
right. So yeah, and there's a lot of attention to detail too. Like that world. It feel real to me.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely real. The show doesn't do anything at all to make you think otherwise.
Yep, yep, yep. It's
Realism.
it's just the first step of like of telling an epic and morally great tale about everything that that he wanted to convey. I do think that a lot of you have watched Monster, so just we can. I don't think. All right. I've split a bit between spoiler and non-spoiler, but let's go with non-spoilers.
Well, I mean, let's just talk about the first episode. We don't have to spoil anything.
All
That's
right.
what we
Yep. Yep. Yep.
watched.
Yep. This
I
this
mean,
time
I'll
out,
say
like I
I thought everything in this Go ahead.
all right. All right. All right. I say it first. Um, Having read the manga when like when I was a teenager, having watched an anime a few times now. Like Monster is something that really, really close to me. Um, and I still like kind of put that in my high regards. For
But what
this
about the first
particular
episode?
yeah, for this particular episode though, I do feel it's a bit heavy-handed at times.
Yeah, it's very obvious. Everything is
Yep.
just so
Yep.
obvious.
And I think this is happen with
It's
Monster
boring
going on
how
forward as
obvious it
well.
is.
Boring is it's not boring for me, but it's heavy-handed for me. All right.
Like do you remember the scene where they are looking at the the scan of the kid's brain with a bullet in it?
Yep.
They put it up on the light board.
Yep.
It's like Dr. Tenma and two other doctors. And Tenma says, "This is going to be a difficult surgery." One of the other doctors says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, look, the bullet is lodged up against such and such a part of the brain." And the other doctor says, "Ah, yes,
Yep.
I see. This will be a difficult surgery." Like, what the fuck
Yep.
are you talking about, dude? There's a bullet inside a human brain. Of course it's going to be a difficult surgery. Who wrote this
And,
shit?
and they
That's
are actually
horrible.
yeah, they are expert. They should have known. This is like the constant problem that I have with Monster. they feel it a lot for the audience to get it. And to the point sometimes that I feel that they don't really respect the audience because like some of the pub we can they don't even need to say that.
Yeah.
I also on this first episode I also remember like the scene where he was confronted by the mother and the son of the
The Turk
police
who died.
Tusk, yeah, who died. That's right. And like just the one scene that we already know what happened, but they like they did it like 2 or 3 times. They put that into the max into 11 with that. Like she had to scream. She had to tell it to his face several times
Push him
that
into a wall.
it
Yeah.
because of you. And I don't think it's a valid point either that she said that to him. But she did say that it's because of you who operate on other person that my husband died, so your blame is on you. And
Yeah, when
I just feel
there's
it too much.
yeah. The thing is, that's a very, that's a normal reaction that someone might have to such a horrible like
Thing
a
happened
horrible
to
event that would like
yep
rack them with grief. They'd only be thinking about themselves, and how they feel and what the impact is on them and their immediate family. And common decency goes out the window. You yell at someone, you berate them, you push them. Uh, Makes sense, right? The problem
yep
is that like Tenma's genius is stressed all throughout this episode, and the fact that
true
like the catch-22 situation of like him being so skilled and being assigned to the patients with the highest status as a result when he ought to be trying to save people whose lives are in more immediate danger. That's
mm,
that's like so central to this episode that it kind of pushes out room for any nuance. In fact,
that
it's
that's right.
duplicated. It happens to him once at the start of the episode, and then the exact same setup the second time.
Yep, that's
Like that
right.
was just the one idea
And
that Urasawa had when he was conceiving of Monster, and he was like, "Man, this idea is so good. I'm going to do it twice, and you're going to like it.
no,
You
no, no,
better
no, no,
like it."
no. I just think that he want to make sure that the audience know what his intention. You know, maybe the first time they don't really get it. Let's do it second time. With
But
higher
it's so clear what the
intensities.
intention is.
That exactly
It's
it.
so
And
clear what his intention
it,
is.
even like to put that aside, like we have like Tenma fiance and Tenma fiance fathers
Father-in-law.
who father-in-law yeah they getting married, yes,
Yeah.
who actually say out loud what his intention is several times. We have to sell these people because he gonna make profit for the hospital. And I was like,
Yeah.
what, why? And he said that more than once. He said that
Yep.
several times. Jesus Christ. Why
Yeah.
you have
It really like it made me feel, it made
dumbed
me feel
out?
bad watching this episode. Like this, yeah, well, dumbed down, but just like is this a problem with the manga as well? Or did they just
I
like create this anime adaptation for 10-year-olds?
I do feel I do remember that the monster manga is not that excessive because the manga itself is just have like I think 20 something volumes, whereas the anime have like around 75 episodes.
Yeah.
So there's some that the anime itself is spent on the ideas of the mangas. I'm not really sure if the original. I don't remember that much from the original to tell that if this were intentional in the manga. But
Yeah. I mean,
in
I think Urasawa writes good dialogue in general. I think he has a real problem with plotting and story. But his theming is pretty good. His dialogue's pretty good. His art's pretty good. His characterization's pretty good. and that was not the case in this episode. Characterization, uh, pretty one note. Theming, very obvious. Dialogue, repetitive, insulting. Not a good first episode.
Uh, I still think it's good. Like it just
Oh,
disappointed
sorry.
me.
Just hit my
The second time
microphone.
I watched it. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this was straight up bad.
All right.
Um, yeah, this kind of writing is not
All
acceptable.
right.
I know we're talking about an anime, but I'm not. If
Yep.
your show's written this way, I'm not going to watch it.
Interesting. I put it fourth out of 10. What is your
6 for me.
rank? 6. Oh, not that far off actually.
Yeah.
But we do have like different reverse opinion about it.
No, we agree on its problems.
Yep, true.
I just am not pulling any punches. I'm not that fond of Monster in general. I'm not that fond of Urasawa in general, even though I just paid him some compliments.
Yep.
So I don't have a reason to pull any punches. I thought the episode was bad. But I will say that I do remember watching Monster and liking it. I do remember like it being a slog and getting tired of it at various points. But I think the beginning of Monster, when I watched the anime, was my favorite part. We haven't gotten to the point where it becomes a thriller yet, but when it's in its early stages as a thriller, I was quite captivated. That's just my memory, though. Like based on this first episode, I don't know if that would happen again. And I'm probably not going to find out. If I ever do Monster again, it'll be the manga, but I probably won't even then, because there's other Urasawa things to read.
Yep.
Like Pluto is getting an anime adaptation.
Yep. Oh, I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. I want to see how it translates. I want to see if they can improve it in the new format, fix the ending a little bit.
Oh my god, but the manga disappointed me so much.
Yeah, and you know what else? The robot
You-
fights.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Like in the manga, it's not that clear, the choreography. But in the anime, the robot fights might be like kick ass. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, we see. So we get into the last one, and I think I know what your ranking on that is. But
I mean, by process of elimination, we can figure it out.
yep. All right, the last one gonna be Samurai Champloo.
Yep.
Just,
I wrote only one note, one line.
it's
It
a
is
classic.
Samurai Champloo, thus it is awesome. That's all I wrote.
All right. All right, so I'm gonna tell you my experience with Samurai Champloo. The first time I watched it, I actually really loved the beginning, but didn't like the latter parts. I feel like it doesn't live up to the promise of the first few episodes, especially when it comes to the character directions of the three leads. Like when you see Jin and Mugen, they always have this, like they always have the fight between each other. They have some backstory, but like they not really grow as much. But I'm willing to give Samurai Champloo a second chance because something this slick, something this is uh original,
Stylish.
is stylish as well. That's right. It is worth a second watch.
I assume that a lot of your problems have to do with like the two-part finale.
Actually, I'm like the Chupa family. I'm had some problem with the thing before that. Like at
I
some
don't.
point,
I don't remember.
I just
There
feel
was a baseball episode that was
there's a
pretty late
baseball.
in its run.
Yeah, that's right. A
I remember
zombie one
liking.
as
It was like a
well.
baseball zombie episode. Yeah, those are the
Yep,
same. The baseball
yep,
episode is the zombie episode.
yep.
I don't remember like Bebop. I can list off every episode.
Yep.
Samurai Champloo, I can't do that.
I
But
remember
there
like
are a lot of Samurai Champloo
yeah,
episodes
yep.
I really like.
I think part of it is because it's run like at a standalone episodes, so we see them, like having some spotlight, and then it reverts back to normal. Like the baseball episode, we don't even see that they get out of it, but the next episode they reverse back to normal. But at one point I remember when I watched Mugen and Jin, oh sorry, when I watched Samurai Champloo, I just see that the two character Mugen and Jin, they are not really grow from where I first started watching them. They're still the same
Yeah.
person,
Well, I mean, I think I think
That's the
that's
point.
normal. Yeah. I mean, think
Uh,
about Bebop. Spike didn't really change.
yeah, well, we,
Um,
we, we, we know more about the backstory of them, so we kind of relate to them more. In case
who?
of
Mugen and
Spike,
Jin?
Spike.
Oh, we have a lot of Mugen's backstory. He got a two-part backstory episode. That was really good. We even saw him like have a near-death experience. That's one of my favorite moments in anime, in all of anime actually,
All right.
is the Mugen's brush with the other side. He like comes into contact with the gods of the afterworld. There's a really beautiful, like chanted solo vocal performance with a little bit of piano behind it, and his life is flashing before his eyes. He sees the other side. It's really neat. But anyway, this first episode was pretty good too.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's introduced like the three main characters. Like each have their own personality. Have had their own mannerism. I really love that. I really love the way that Watanabe animate their characters, because they have their own walk. They have their own like kind of gesture. They have their own kind of speech, and it's just
Yep.
interesting to look at them and see how they bounce off each others. It have a very slick animations. This the era where they mix between samurai era, which a fictional samurai era, and in hip hop, which is like more recent. And it creates like something totally unique. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the whole aesthetics of the shows.
Yeah. For sure. The like the
Is
record
there?
scratches
Uh
being
huh.
used for the transitions between different scenes, and like the scenes being intercut back and forth really quickly for just a couple seconds while it goes.
Yep.
I can't do the
Yep.
sound. It's really
Good job.
really nifty.
Uh
Bit
huh.
of like presentational theming. It's good stuff. Gene, an absolute dreamboat of a man, a total badass, standing up to the Yagyu, and just cutting them down mercilessly in like 3 seconds. As the blood from their bodies, which he's just cut open, like drifts towards him, and then the hat comes down just in time to catch the blood splatter, so his porcelain skin doesn't get stained by the crimson blood.
Yep.
It's, it's just so like I don't know. It's so evocative. It's so over the top too, but the presentation's so strong. The characters are so self-assured that you just,
Sorry.
you just go along with it.
Yep.
You have no choice.
Yep. True.
This is Mugen and Jean's world, and we're just living in it.
Yep. Yep. And even Fu were as well, because he's the one who actually drive the plot forward at the end.
Yep.
So, yeah, I love the three characters when they come together. I love how they get into each other's. And oh my god, everything like from their cut back and forth, like you said, the scratching things, and the characters, everything is like top notch.
Yeah. I do have one criticism, and that
All right,
is that
what is it?
Mugen and Jin, like speaking of convenience, you're between the two of us. You're often the one who points out that things are too convenient, like characters
Yep.
meet too conveniently. I usually don't feel that as being very much of a problem because I usually say the story has to start somehow, characters have to meet one another.
Yep. Yep.
In Samurai Champloo, I did feel a little bit of convenience because Mugen and Jean are conveniently locked up so that Fu
Yep.
can go see them and explain what she wants them to do. And then the next day at the execution grounds, she can go and see them again. Like there doesn't appear to be very much of a bond between the three of them. Or even, I mean, I wouldn't expect there to be a bond, so I'll rephrase. There doesn't
Yep.
seem to be a compelling reason for either of these two men to follow her. There's not a good reason
Yep.
for it. She may
Yep.
have saved their lives with the fireworks, but
Mhm.
these two guys live by their own rules. Why
That's
should they
true.
follow her just because she saved them?
Yeah, but
So I
I
don't
think I
think it
think
makes a lot of sense for them to follow her, but
yeah.
it's so cool. The
Yep.
story's so cool. I just want to see the three of them together,
I
you know?
I do think that they still make their own rules, but their rule for now is just following along fools. So it still kind of makes sense. I mean, like you said, it
Yeah.
is a bit convenient. Yes, yeah, it does. But yeah,
I
it just
do
so
like that Mugen takes the coin and
good.
like, he's
Oh,
kind
yep,
of
yep,
into
yep,
the idea. When she says heads you follow me, tails you don't, Mugen is the
yep,
sort
yep,
of
yep,
guy who loves
yep,
that sort of chance. Like he's going to put his life on the line even in this small situation. So he just takes it and throws it up in the air. It's
yep,
just so true to who he is.
yep. I said, and then just jump right to the forehead of Fu. It's just so cool. Yep.
Right.
God.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a lot of fun. It's just for me above everything else. I mean, it looks great. It definitely sounds great. This is one of my favorite anime soundtracks ever.
yep.
But above the how it looks and sounds, and even how it's written, I think it's just a ton of fun. I think that's the
Yep.
number one thing.
True. True. But you put it number two. I put it
I
as
did.
first.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Kaze on the rewatch.
Yep. Yep. Me too. We actually have like those two at first and second, so we are not really that far off for each other.
Tori, we also agree, is very good.
Yep. That's right.
I think we have the same general feelings about almost all of these shows.
Yep.
And I'm not that surprised by that because I think that out of this crop there are some that are
Clearly.
clearly good and there are
Yep.
some that are pretty damn bad, which is what I said at the start.
Mm.
And it was a little bit different when we did the 2006 one.
Yeah, that's right. For me personally, though, I do feel like that Madlax, Tweeny Witches, and Midori Days are on the exact same level. So I actually have a bit of struggling between them. But and these three are the one that I think I will follow them in the end as well. Along with these with Monster Samurai Champloo
I don't think you mentioned
and
Hinotori.
Hinotori.
I mean, I guess you could read the manga and get the same experience, but 13 episodes is pretty short, so you can knock it out.
Yep, yep, yep.
I would definitely recommend though that you haven't watched Nana or Aoran Koko Hostabu, which we
Yep,
both agreed were like clearly the best spring 2006 series.
yep.
So don't know what the deal is with that.
I alright. I put that on my short list, on my what list. I have a lot of things to watch as well.
Well, I guess that about wraps up the episode, right?
Yep, yep, that's right. So next postcard, we thinking of doing the double feature, right?
Yeah, going to do some franchise films. The Shirobako movie has some readable subs out at last. And
Yep,
then I'm going to do another one. Might be Violet Evergarden, might be Demon Slayer. We'll see
yep.
what the fan sub situation is in a couple weeks.
True, true. Cool. All right, so we're gonna see you in 2 weeks for some good stuff.
All right. Take care.
See ya.